Oh my goodness, that is a really good question because you would likely only receive a small number of responses from that list. Vince Gill, the most adored good guy in country music, may not be that kind behind the scenes. According to reports, the renowned singer, who is 68, has a private list that is devoid of pals. According to people close to the celebrity, Gill has subtly identified 7 musicians whom he finds intolerable. I started sort of working toward a solo career because I didn't think I had a lengthy future with that band. Every name on the list relates a tale of betrayed trust, bruised egos, and behind-the-scenes turmoil, ranging from long-standing rivals to unexpected betrayals. Number 4, which shows a feud no one expected coming, really shocks fans. Although he is well known for his soft voice and kind disposition, Gill's unspoken resentments give a completely different impression. There's no doubt that the friendliest face in Nashville may also have the best recall. Keep an eye out. This is only the beginning. Number 7, Brooks, G, and Vince Gill. Despite dominating country charts in the 1990s, Brooks and the band never worked closely together. Behind the scenes, tension was evident as spectators praised both performers. Vince, who is renowned for his easygoing style and authentic country music, seems uneasy about G's meteoric rise to fame. G introduced stadium tours, pyrotechnics, and exuberant performances. Vince never accepted these things. According to insiders, Vince thought it was all a little too much too soon. In the early 2000s, there were rumors that Vince had secretly turned down G's offer of a major duet. Some claim that principle was at play, not scheduling. One label representative claimed that Vince was opposed to what he perceived as the commercialization of country music. According to reports, he thought G's style leaned too far into theatrics and preferred substance over show. Their musical values were clearly divided as a result of such rejection. Throughout the years, interviews revealed the philosophical divide. Vince discussed how performance-driven bands were overtaking true country music in a 2005 magazine story. Fans thought it was a veiled jab, even though he never mentioned G by name. Well, many interpreted Vince's joke that country music wasn't Broadway with boots, made it a CMA event around the same time, as a subtle jab at Gar's ostentatious style. While the audience chuckled, industry insiders understood the message. The contrast between their photographs is startling. While Vince remained rooted in his guitar playing and poignant lyrics, Gar built his career around large crowds and emotional anthems. Gar's audience welcomed the spectacle, while Vince's admirers valued his genuineness. They never really shared the stage together, which may be explained by their disparities. Even though they were both legendary, their journeys were extremely different. One little-known incident fuels the conjecture. G was present at a 2010 memorial show, but Vince conspicuously did not appear. Given that both artists were planned, it caused some curiosity. Later, a crew member implied that Vince had asked to be pulled at the last minute. Although it's unclear if it was personal, it strengthened the long-held belief that the two were just not compatible. Fans are still perplexed as to why Vince and G never collaborated. Their quiet speaks volumes in a field where teamwork is the norm. Vince has collaborated with Dolly and Carrie Underwood, among others. However, Gar's name is never mentioned. Vince frequently distanced himself from G, both musically and physically, even when they were performing together at award presentations. Fans were aware of that distance. Vince could have appreciated G's accomplishments, but not his approach. Not all rivalries are public or noisy. Some are quiet and fundamentally different in their artistic sensibilities. It appears that Goo represented a form of country music that Vince was unable to endorse. The divide between the two was genuine, even though they may never have insulted one another. Additionally, this unstated tension created its own story in a genre that is based on storytelling. Christopherson disregarded the law. Vince trailed after them. Too long has passed since the true events between these two symbols were revealed. Chris Christopherson, number 6. Vince Gill and Chris Christopherson hail from somewhat different regions of the country music industry. Christopherson is frequently referred to as the outlaw poet. His lyrics seem to be taken directly from the heart, and his music has a raw emotional edge. He doesn't give much thought to polish or perfection. Conversely, Vince Gill is nearly the reverse. He is a perfectionist who prioritizes smooth guitar playing, clear vocals, and a pleasing sound. There was a subtle but genuine friction between the two because of the stark difference between Vince's polished approach and Kristofferson's gritty style. Although Vince never publicly criticized Kristofferson, those close to both claim that behind closed doors, Vince harbored a certain contempt for Kristofferson's untidy manner. Sometimes Kristofferson's songs seem to have been composed quickly, expressing an emotion without regard for organization or neatness. Vince likes music with well-planned notes and unambiguous lyrics. Even while Vince appreciated Kristofferson's songwriting skills, this made it difficult for him to appreciate his work completely. They had a courteous but aloof relationship. They didn't hang out or collaborate, although they did meet at events and award shows. Although Vince appreciated Kristofferson's influence on country music, he frequently became irritated with Kristofferson's disregard for the conventions of the genre. The rivalry was quiet and private. It was a low-key contest predicated on wildly divergent opinions on the sound and feel of country music. Many individuals are unaware that Vince was irritated by more than just music style. It was also about Kristofferson's non-musical values. Kristofferson was a rebellious figure. Fitting into the stereotype of a country star didn't appeal to him, and he rejected the commercial Nashville system. Although Vince was not a devout traditionalist, he thought professionalism and inventiveness should coexist in country music. Their underlying antagonism was fueled by this divergence in values. For those who wanted country music to be about freedom and real-life challenges, Kristofferson's image as an outlaw made him a hero. The cleaner, radio-friendly side of country music that contributed to its rise in popularity in the 1990s and early 2000s is embodied by Vince. The conflict between them represents a greater struggle within country music itself, maintaining tradition while attempting to appeal to a wider audience with a more polished sound. Vince once stated in an interview that he admires the outlaw movement for pushing limits, but he believes some of the rebels went too far in disregarding the fundamentals of excellent songwriting and musicianship. This is a little-known fact. Even though he did not identify Kristofferson, that was obviously a jab at his style. Kristofferson's strategy emphasizes emotion and rawness, whereas Vince's focuses on demonstrating ability and control. Their competition also demonstrates the division among country music listeners throughout time. While some people adore Vince's silky voice and faultless guitar playing, others prefer Kristofferson's honesty and grit. This gap still persists today. Younger musicians frequently choose one style or attempt to combine the two, demonstrating the significance of this contradiction for the genre. The fact that these men had rather diverse influences on other artists is another intriguing aspect. Juan Jennings and Willie Nelson, two legendary outlaws, were motivated by Kristofferson to rebel against Nashville's regulations. Newer artists like Brad Paisley and Keith Urban, who blended excellent musicianship with a contemporary sound, owe a debt to Vince for helping to shape their careers. Despite their differences, Vince and Kristofferson both made significant contributions to country music. Billy Ray Cyrus, number 5. Billy Ray Cyrus rose to fame in the country music industry in the early 1990s, thanks to his smash tune, Achy Breaky Heart. The song immediately became a tremendous hit, launching a line dancing craze that filled dance halls from coast to coast and making Billy Ray a star. Not everyone in the industry was impressed, but fans were dancing to his infectious tune. Among them was Vince Gill. For many fans and musicians of traditional country music, including Vince, Achy Breaky Heart marked a significant shift. The song's intricate melodic and narrative elements didn't seem to advance country music. It appeared to move it backwards instead. It was really catchy, but Vince felt it was too much of a gimmick. He believed that the song sacrificed significance in order to appeal to a large audience, something he had consistently opposed throughout his career. Vince Gill is a multi-instrumentalist and one of the most well-known singers in the genre. Sincere ballads, truthful lyrics, and unquestionable musical ability have been the foundation of his fame. He has never been one to follow trends and is more interested in art than fame. When Billy Ray Cyrus appeared wearing tight jeans, big hair, and a flamboyant country rock outfit, Vince wasn't really thrilled. He believed Billy Ray was not a true country music musician, but rather a marketing gimmick. Despite being preoccupied with their individual careers in the 1990s, the two musicians never collaborated, and it wasn't a coincidence. According to insiders, despite sharing the same red carpets and award ceremony stages, they were consistently aloof and chilly toward one another. Although courteous, Vince was not amiable. He maintained a notable distance and put on a professional attitude. According to many who worked behind the scenes, Vince had a great deal of respect for musicians and was cautious of Billy Ray's pop-focused approach. He simply didn't believe that his level of devotion to the craft was as high as his own. Billy Ray, however, didn't appear to care as much about being a multifaceted artist as he did about chart success and crossover appeal. He wasn't searching for the traditional camp's approval, and Vince wasn't offering it to him either. Their argument revealed a larger struggle inside the country music industry. The conflict between upholding tradition and adjusting to the needs of the market. Achy, broken hearts weren't the only thing that afflicted Vince. It was an indication of a tendency he disliked. A generation of musicians appeared to be influenced by the success of a straightforward, repetitive song, to prioritize popularity, image, and catchy melodies over storytelling and musical skill. Vince feared that instead of preserving the core of country music's roots in genuine feeling and rural authenticity, this would dilute it and make it more like many stars like Billy Ray, flamboyant performers with popular songs that lacked depth, entered the genre in the years following his big break. Vince believed that these musicians were capitalizing on the trend that Billy Ray had helped initiate. Additionally, he disapproved of the genre's directionality. Even Vince had to concede, though, that Billy Ray had a significant role in the rise in popularity of country music. In addition to younger people, he gained admirers from outside the usual country base. Vince realized that expanding his audience wasn't always a terrible thing, even though he had a lot of issues with the concept. How it was done was what mattered to him. Quality was more important to him than showmanship. It's intriguing that Billy Ray's impact extended beyond his professional life. Miley Cyrus, his daughter, would go on to become a globally renowned music sensation. In the process, she gave the country music industry even more pop, particularly when she was first establishing herself as Hannah Montana. So, the distinction between pop and country music became even more hazy, thanks to the Cyrus family. However, Vince has never discussed Miley's impact directly. From achy breaky hearts to contemporary country pop mixes, Vince regarded the entire affair as a genre struggle. Seeing country music get increasingly commercialized was not only disheartening, but it also resonated deeply with someone who has dedicated his life to preserving its integrity. Billy Ray Cyrus was included to Vince Gill's not-so-secret list for this reason. Vince Gill did not honor Shania Twain. More stunning than any headline she's ever created is what's behind the silence. The fourth is Shania Twain. Shania Twain wasn't a newcomer to the country music industry. She made a change. Known as the Queen of Country Pop, Shania created a new, high-energy style that transcended genre boundaries by fusing popular pop with classic country sounds. Her polished, radio-friendly songs contributed to the globalization of country music. However, some others who liked things the way they were, like Vince Gill, lost out on her success. He believed that Shania's popularity was distinct from the integrity that defined authentic country music. A broad spectrum of music lovers found Shania's CDs, particularly Come On Over, to be easily palatable. Her songs sounded fantastic on both country and top 40 radio stations because of their infectious pop-style hooks, dankable rhythms, and glittering production. The genre drew in millions of new enthusiasts. However, more conventional country musicians were dissatisfied because they believed that country music was losing its authenticity. Vince Gill was one of them. Vince Gill has always complied with regulations. His unrivaled musical talent, heartfelt melodies, and honest lyrics helped him establish a reputation. Vince is the type of performer who believes that stories that are honest, unvarnished, and deeply rooted can be told through country music. He plays a variety of instruments well and has a lovely voice. It's not about creating singles with popular tunes that reach the top of the charts or about glamour and glamour. According to Vince, it's a story portrayed via words and song about truth, life, grief, love, and overcoming. People said things like, "I feel like a woman and that don't impress me much." So when Shania Twain came out with huge hair, glittery clothes, and pop tunes like Man, it was a collision of civilizations. Although her music was unquestionably catchy and well-produced, Vince felt it was too courteous and too smooth. With her fame, Shania's image shifted from one of sobbing songs and filthy boots to one of happiness, brightness, and marketability. No one else noticed or made a big deal out of Vince and Shania's conflict. There were no irate interviews or news-grabbing insults. Instead, the rift manifested itself in subtler ways. Shania and Vince never collaborated. In interviews, he never mentioned how her albums were praised at award shows or how she topped the charts. That quiet meant a lot in the nation's close-knit community. Being impolite wasn't the point. It had to do with ethics. Although Vince was impressed by Shania's achievements, he disagreed with the direction she was taking her music. Her work, in his opinion, demonstrated how the genre was evolving for financial gain rather than for creative advancement. He believed that as country music grew more glossy and bubblegum-like, it gradually lost its uniqueness. Vince believed that country music should portray real life in all its lovely complexity, rather than attempting to emulate mainstream trends. It was more difficult for other musicians, particularly women, because of Shania's fame. She dismantled obstacles for female performers by demonstrating their ability to dominate the charts, take the lead on international tours, and alter perceptions about the genre. However, Vince was quite conservative. Therefore, he frequently overlooked or failed to give artists who followed her pop-inspired route enough credit. As a result, female vocalists who didn't conform to the norm occasionally struggled to gain respect in settings where Vince's viewpoint was important. The corporate world was slightly but noticeably impacted by this. Women like Kelsea Ballerini, Taylor Swift, and Carrie Underwood were able to achieve fame thanks to Shania. Despite their preference for mainstream music, these women were classified as country. However, artists who shared Vince's beliefs, such as Patti Loveless and Leanne Wack, frequently received less audience support but greater critical acclaim. The distinction between creative sincerity and financial gain was becoming more obvious. Both Vince Gill and Shania Twain influenced contemporary country music. Shania provided a lot of new followers, excitement, and glitter despite their differences. Vince's devotion and honesty preserved the genre's essence. They represented two extremes of the country music spectrum and two possible directions for the genre. Although they never collaborated, their individual efforts demonstrated the evolution of country music. Today's country music continues to balance being both deeply layered and easily understood. The tension between Vince and Shania has persisted. This tension stems from a silent rivalry between a pop country queen and a storyteller purist, but it's simply different names and sounds. Third place goes to Jason Aldean. Jason Aldean is frequently referred to as the face of bro country, a genre that combines trucks, party themes, and an easygoing attitude with country music. Most of his songs are about having fun, partying, and living in a small town, encased in enticing tunes and booming guitars. He gained a lot of popularity because to this approach, particularly with younger listeners who appreciate the upbeat party vibe his music produces. This strategy, however, differs greatly from Vince Gill's values. According to Vince, meaningful lyrics, in-depth songwriting, and relatable storytelling are all important components of country music. Songwriting skill has always been important to Vince Gill. According to him, each song must honestly and passionately communicate a tale. He believes that true emotion and depth should be incorporated into lyrics. Vince feels that Aldean's music doesn't live up to such criteria because of its simplistic lyrics and recurring themes. He considers Aldean's approach to be loud and superficial, emphasizing lifestyle and image promotion over compositional skill. As a result, the two musicians and what they stand for in country music are clearly separated. Vince Gill discreetly declines to go to functions or award shows that prominently highlight Jason Aldean as a result of these disagreements. Direct insults and public drama are not the point of this. It's an individual decision that reveals Vince's allegiances. He wants to encourage and support country music that respects songwriting and tradition rather than just tunes that are popular on the radio, due to their catchiness and commercial viability. The conflict between traditional country values and contemporary marketed trends is aptly illustrated by this silent boycott. Because to Jason Aldean's success, country music has taken on a new, more commercial sound. Note, he may have lost out on younger listeners or larger radio hits as a result of this choice, but he gained the utmost respect from people who genuinely care about the history of country music. Influence was not something Vince sought. His ethics gave him a legacy. OC. His lack of response to the development of the contemporary nation is more powerful than any protest. Although he refrained from openly criticizing Shania Twain, Jason Aldean, or Billy Ray Cyrus, his absence from their festivities conveyed a powerful message. Vince sees attendance as a sign of support. Therefore, it's not a coincidence when he doesn't share compliments or go to an event. It's deliberate. Furthermore, his modest demeanor betrays his true feelings in a field where stillness is uncommon. Today's severe divisions in country music are a reflection of a larger issue. Fame and heart, branding and soul, and flash and feeling are all at odds. Vince Gill is on one side of that spectrum, prioritizing songwriting, emotion, and dignity over entertainment. Fully. By doing this, he stands for a segment of the genre that is becoming less prevalent, but is still very much needed. He's not merely clinging to the past. He is defending the meaning of music. Vince Gill avoids being drawn into internet arguments, lecturing, and complaining. Rather, he stays true to his core skills, penning truthful songs, performing with passion, and quietly advocating for excellence. His serene presence serves as a reminder of the original meaning of music in a world full of self-promotion. He is more than just a painter. He serves as a benchmark, reflecting the extent of the genre's deviation. Travis Tritt shot back with a glare so icy it froze the room as Vince made fun of phony criminals. First up, Travis Tritt. Despite having somewhat different vibes, Travis Tritt and Vince Gill both became well-known in the 1990s. Travis contributed a raw, boisterous energy that seemed erratic and untamed. Vince, on the other hand, maintained composure and concentration while adopting a refined and conventional look. How they were perceived in the industry was influenced by their distinct personalities and musical styles. Even before there were allegations of strife, this disparity caused tension in their relationship. One significant behind-the-scenes event occurred at a 1997 benefit performance. According to reports, Vince casually mentioned musicians who perform outlaw but lack the ability to write lyrics. Travis, who based his reputation on the outlaw country mentality, was offended by those remarks. Insiders claim that after Travis heard Vince's comments, he confronted him. Although there was no physical altercation, witnesses claim Travis gave Vince a deadly look. The genuine conflict between their egos and values was brought to light by that dramatic moment. Their rivalry remained largely hidden from the public eye, since their music and fan bases hardly ever overlapped. Vince's fans enjoyed his genuine lyrics and melodic style. Fans were drawn to Travis because of his rebellious persona and gritty music. Their paths rarely crossed on the charts or on concert stages as a result of this divide. Additionally, because their worlds were so dissimilar, any possible friendship seemed improbable. Vince and Travis never discussed their conflict in public, in contrast to other well-known country music feuds. There was no public ceasefire, no handshake, and no indication that things were getting warmer over time. So, under the surface, fans frequently questioned whether the rivalry still exists. Separately, both men pursued their careers, adhering to their own audiences and methods. Their silence has been incorporated into the narrative. How this altercation represented a wider conflict in 90s country music is a novel perspective. Tradition versus disobedience. Vince embodied the refined, vintage country sound that many people wish to keep alive. Travis personified the gritty, defiant vibe that drew in younger admirers and challenged convention. It wasn't only personal animosity between them. It represented a broader split within the genre. This invisible conflict influenced both performers' legacies and the development of country music during that decade. In the realm of country music, Vince Gill is well known for his grace, modesty, and kindness. Many people are therefore surprised to learn about reports of silent conflicts and resentment surrounding him. Some claim that Vince's perfectionism is the cause. He has a reputation for working hard and having high expectations of both himself and other people. He frequently clashed with artists who had a more untamed or unfettered approach because of his pursuit of perfection. Vince never made an effort to command attention. While others sought attention, he preferred to let his music speak for itself. Vince tended to retreat rather than confront directly when powerful personalities conflicted with his cool-headed, laser-like style. Behind the scenes, these tensions were extremely serious, but they hardly ever made the news. He occasionally found it difficult to relate to some major celebrities who followed other norms because of his high standards. In Nashville's close-knit music circles, Vince felt a peculiar sense of loneliness as a result of this silent rivalry. Although his talent and kindness are appreciated, his desire for perfection occasionally caused barriers. Fans and the media hardly ever see this side of Vince, according to people close to the scene. It explains why some rivalries smolder for years under the surface instead of blowing up. Gaining insight into this secret aspect of Vince Gill's personality helps to clarify his complex nature. According to reports, Vince Gill writes songs in a private journal. It's more than simply lyrics, though. According to an insider, this journal has a confidential list of artists Vince declines to work with. Vince reportedly marked certain names with a strong no next to them, according to a roadie. A Nashville assistant once saw pages with prominent names marked off in pen, but the list has never been made public. Although it's unclear if this was a joke or a genuine hate, it reveals a side of Vince that not many people are aware of. Vince's reputation as the nicest guy in country music is called into question by this secret list. He seems to have no trouble defining boundaries at the age of 68. He reportedly won't collaborate with 7 musicians, and some of the rivalries on the list are startling. For both insiders and fans, one name in particular sticks out. The covert conflicts that influence Vince's career are exposed in this book of buried grudges, far from the public's perception of a kind face. Thank you for viewing. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe if you liked this video. For even more incredible information, click on the next video that appears on your screen.